to a brighter day. Do you think that Rue is channeling Cher when she sings?
Oh.
Because I feel like some of her best songs are a little Sherry.
Well,
Everybody say love. Ho. Goes a
Just
long,
like that.
long way.
Because her other way is like an ASMR lover. She's like,
Oh, right. I still think Catwalk is probably one of the cuntiest that she's ever done.
Yeah.
Everywhere you go, everybody knows.
Honestly, I'm not even going to pretend like some of her new music doesn't slap.
Which one do you think slaps? If you could remember, for $1,
Me not
RuPaul
suddenly
song.
being able to name a single song. No, okay. I think ASMR lover is good. The hustle that. Wait, no, that's hustle that cat.
So what RuPaul song do you
boon,
know?
They want to see a boon. They want to see a boon.
Yeah.
Hustle that thing for me. And then I think Queens Everywhere is a good song.
That's a good one.
Just What They Want. They want to see you let it out. They want to see you go off.
They want to see you go off. I know I'm the visit to the
I think all of those are quite good.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. From every era, there's usually at least one RuPaul song where I'm like, this kind of slaps.
Champion.
Champion.
What do you think about Beginning?
Not my favorite song from that album.
Yeah.
There are a lot of songs from that album I like a lot more than that. I think that's an okay song.
It's decent.
I used to go hard for it. I think now it's like mid.
Yeah.
But there are so many hotter songs on that album.
Miss RuPaul loves Kitty Girl too. She loves Kitty Girl. Hey, kitty, kitty. Hey, kitty. Oh.
Quick, what's your favorite RuPaul song?
Oh my God, Champion.
Really?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Period.
It's got to be. I think the vocalizations, oh. That's so unique. I know it's 2 bars.
Unique New York.
Yeah. It's like Pandora's ha 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 ha. It's so many bars of just ho 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 ho.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha, bitch.
But it's so good. You know what always makes me giggle is whenever RuPaul tells the contestants, yeah, you were just a little pitchy, but it's fine.
Pot calling the kettle black. Come on.
I'm sorry. Who are you to say something about their pitch, Miss Paul? Miss Ru?
Miss Pitch Paul. Miss Ru Pitch.
The Wheel of Fortune runway. I'm playing Ru Pitch Paul.
Please.
We are at the end of UK2. We're back with Jess. It's kind of feels sad that we're almost done.
I know, the end of a beautiful, beautiful time.
This is a fun season to talk about.
Yeah. I mean, as fun as it was to watch, it was just as fun to talk about and relive.
Yeah. So let's get into the finale.
Is that really
we're in the last 3 episodes. Like the finale, I'm not gonna. Oh yeah, let's just skip one.
I was like, did we really just save an entire podcast episode to talk about the finale?
Yeah, we're just gonna skip episode 8 and 9. So last time we talked about the first half of the second portion of the season right after the break.
Yes.
The many stars rising. Others in the competition are kind of background players. Before we really get into anything, did you see that video that's floating around? I think it's from DragCon. Lawrence and Raven are chatting, and Raven asks, "So why did you win and Tace and Bimini didn't?" And RuPaul comes out from nowhere and says, "Let me answer that, because she is a star." Have you saw that? You perceived?
I saw people talking about it, and I thought it was fake.
I thought it was too.
When someone describes it, you're like, that sounds like clickbait.
Yeah. RuPaul says that Bimini and Tace are not stars, not clickbait.
Confirmed.
But I hate to be someone who's filling in the blanks and saying, so you're saying this, but she's saying that Lawrence is a star, implying that the two of them are not. I'm sure that RuPaul meant every word of it.
Her star shines the brightest.
Yeah.
Do you know what I always think about? Drag Race season 10 reunion when they're like, when Sasha Velour says to Valentina, you came here to be a star. And Valentina says, no, I came here to show the star that I am.
Yes. Season 9. You said 10 and I was like, why
Wow.
do you like something from 10?
Wow. I'm a fake Drag Race fan. We need to cancel the pod. Cancel the pod.
Pod is canceled. This is the last episode. We were talking about the finale and then it's over.
I don't even think we can finish the episode.
We can't even do it.
All right.
So episode 8 is called Stoned on the Runway. Very interesting that they went with the runway prompt for the title of the episode rather than the challenge.
Right.
I thought. I also saw some tea on the wiki that
Wiki
the
tea.
original runway prompt was dripping in jewels. But we'll put a pin in that and get there in a second. So Ahura is feeling really good about her placement from last week. I think it was a totally deserved win. Ellie does not have a badge. She's feeling weird about her placement because everybody's underestimating her, which I
Yes.
think I understand where she's coming from.
I mean, you're the youngest person there. You have no wins.
And everybody thinks that you're a flop Tina.
Yeah, flop Tina, and there's someone from your home nation.
The nation of the North.
The
They're
nation
North,
of your
right?
home.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, they're far north.
Oh, come on.
Yeah. Not like the North. Like they're more north than... Was that a bad British?
I'm not British, so I can't
Okay.
say. I'm not from the North.
I feel like it was a little Kathy Bates in Roanoke.
Oh my
The
god.
North.
North.
Is this a top 5 that you thought was going to be here when we started the season? Not hindsight 2020. Like thinking back to your original sense of being.
In the beginning,
gelling.
I did think that maybe Tia Coffee,
Oh, yeah.
because of how much she's been able to enchant the judges, she could have like really made it that far.
Yeah.
To that point. And I won't say instead of who.
Okay.
But
okay.
but I definitely think I could have seen Tia there, even though she wasn't the most recently eliminated person.
Yeah.
And then I mean in my fantasy, Joe Black is there. But
Oh, yeah.
Who knows? Who knows?
I think at the start, my early season predictions were Bimini. Bimini was my horse that I was hitched to.
Bimini, you're
I was
on
Team
Bimini Bay.
I was Bimini Bay. Bimini Bomb Boulevard.
I love that musical.
That's a musical that I want to be cast in is Bimini Bomb Boulevard. I think it was Bimini, Cherry, Joe, and I think I pinned either Tia or Sister as the other top 4. That was like
Wow.
my early before the show started. And then when episode 1 dropped, I'm like, okay, it's Tace, Bimini, Lawrence, and probably Joe. And then Joe went home and I said, oh.
And you went, well.
I was totally wrong.
And then she came back and went, and then, oh.
Literally, I was like, oh my God, my prediction was right.
Yeah, maybe, no. But yeah, that's very, very T. I mean, Taste was like an immediate star for sure from first watch.
Had it.
I will also say in the beginning, I don't think I saw it for Ahura.
Oh, yeah.
I think Ahura had a big transformation.
Post break.
Yeah. Like I started liking her a little bit before the break. Well, Sparko. I love Sparko.
Love Sparko.
Like I started liking her around that point, but like early on, I really didn't see it for her, and she had a big turnaround as well. So, props to Ahura for most improved.
Props to you, girl. Thanks for listening.
Well, and Bimini, but
yeah,
I think everyone talks about Bimini's transformation so much that I don't think people talk about how much Ahura did improve and really rise to the occasion.
Her and I feel like honestly Ellie kind of did too.
I mean, listen, she's one of those things where it's like
things.
She's one of those things. It's one of those things where she's like, if you don't like her, it's frustrating because she almost feels like a cockroach or something because she always just finds a way to make it work and survive.
Totally.
But if you like her, that's such a standable quality because it's like she's so resilient and she's so like do it all and she'll always like even if she doesn't know what she's doing, she'll always try to make it work and like figure it out. And she's got a lot of tenacity. So I feel
Definitely.
like and I think you see that with a lot of different queens where it's like, if you don't like them, then you're going to hate them for that.
Oh, yeah.
But if you like them, then I think it's something you'll really appreciate them for.
Is it an inaccurate statement to say she's almost got the same kind of trajectory as like a Candy Muse? Someone who...
Candy Moose?
Ken Moose, who's always just super resilient in things.
Moose. Well, yes.
Obviously, polish...
She makes less of a splash,
right?
Which is the other thing, is like she's not one of those ones where it's like she's causing a ton of drama and making a ton of fights. I mean, there is drama with her, but I feel like for the most part she tries to stay in her lane, except for her acting up every once in a while.
Yeah.
But like Candy was like making such a big splash and still surviving,
right?
Whereas like Ellie's just like kind of ticking people off because they want her to be gone.
Yeah, we talked in episode 1 about how a lot of the archetypes this season are so different than they have been in other seasons, not only of UK, but just across the franchise.
Yeah.
We get to this top 5 in particular, and Lawrence, this star who just can do no wrong with RuPaul, is a very different archetype than we've ever seen. Bimini playing the sort of like dumb hoe that we don't like. Jimbo kind of did that, but Jimbo dumb hoe. But Jimbo also was a very different type of character to Bimini. Yeah. Bimini's so unique in that. We've got Tace, who is so polished, dancerly. What? You looked at something.
No, I just, in my brain, I went Bimini Bon Jimbo. Bimini Bon Jimbo.
Please. That's a new drag name. Please welcome to the stage, Bimini Bon Jimbo. Tace being like the dancerly fashion girl, but having so much silly comedy around her. Yeah. Spending her whole love rose talking about beans on toast. And then Ellie being that underdog who does not seem like a brand new queen, right? And then Ahura being that sharp-tongued bitch with the heart of gold is kind of a similar archetype to ones we've already had, but she doesn't do that transition thing we often see where they're sharp-tongued at the beginning and then get nicer and softer at the end. Yeah. She stays jagged and sharp the whole time and keeps reading people and then smiles at them and is like, oh, it is just silly teehee.
Yeah. Yeah, she like stays sharp, but she also loosens up like when she's like, sister, for blowy.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, you know? The Cobra. It's just me. The Cobra.
I am obsessed with her.
Yeah. So it's like she can be herself, but also like be herself in that sense too. And it's like it endears us to when she's like like Jane.
Yeah.
I will say the difference I think between Ellie and someone like Candy is maybe with Candy you feel like she almost has a sense of like invincibility or like plot armor. Whereas like Ellie, you don't feel that, yet she's still there. Yeah. So it's like you don't think like, oh, production is going to keep her, but she's still staying and still making it and still like surviving. So
that is an interesting point because she really doesn't. Lawrence is the one who's got the plot armor.
Yeah.
But Ellie's the one who's constantly making it through despite others being stronger than her. That is an interesting point. I wonder if that's more her lack of awareness of her environment, where Candy was very aware of her environment. But Ellie's like, realistically, Ellie's the agitator in this group. She's meant to be that archetype because we always
agitated RuPaul when she asked her about her name.
Yeah, she did. And she agitated the hell out of Ahura and the hell out of Lawrence, which we'll get into in a second. But the agitator of this group, if it wasn't Ahura, because Ahura's out by 5, Ellie's the top 4 agitator. But she doesn't really have that role through the rest of the show. So again, every archetype is so different.
Yeah.
I almost feel like it would have made better storyline for Ellie to go home episode 8 and it being Ahura at the finale. I almost feel like that would have been a better story trajectory and I think would have made a little more sympathy for Ellie. Yeah. I almost feel like keeping her without really much justification again and again and again sort of made the fans go on that vicious attack thing that they love to do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So, our maxi challenge is to do a stand-up comedy about love in front of an audience of inanimate objects.
Audience.
Isn't that cringe? Isn't that so cringe? Like, come on. Come on.
Is this the one that's like inflatable people? Because there's
the
a
blow-up
couple
dolls.
different iterations within the COVID seasons.
Oop. Do we need... Oop. We dying. We dying out here. Do a little Vogue. Do a little dance.
'Tis allergy seasons, girlies.
It is.
Seasons, plural. 'Tis allergy season, girlies. Stay vigilant.
Yeah, it is in fact the blow-up dolls
And
this time.
And the what'd you call me?
I called you a blow-up doll.
Beach blonde.
Bad built, beach blonde, butch body. I can't believe they didn't even bring in the crew. Like, just have some camera crew sit there with their masks on and the little foamy mic stick.
Give the PAs a free show.
Right. I mean, that would have been less cringe and awkward because I feel like the lack of an audience is always a little ugh, to me.
Yeah, or it's like, even if it's like an audience of mostly inanimate craft, like, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Do it again.
And
Give her another take.
Cut it all.
Give her another take.
So start the episode from the top. No, an audience of mostly inanimate objects plus like Tammy from craft services.
Oh yeah,
and like,
come on, Tammy.
Yeah, and like Jen the PA and like Ronnie who operates the boom, but he doesn't need to do that right now.
Right,
like stuff like that. Just a small group of
small
human
gathering.
beings.
Or it wasn't in Canada too, which was another COVID season. Didn't they do their comedy challenge in front of all the eliminated girls? Because they keep them there.
I love when they do that.
To come back for the finale after they're gone. They lock them up in the hotel and let them go watch movies and stuff.
Lock them up.
Yeah, they throw them in the dungeon.
Yeah.
They don't let them leave the Hilton. So, like, why not just have the eliminated girls? They're going to be there in a week to start doing the rehearsals for the final dance.
True. So I mean, might as well.
Just had them. So, they have to do it in front of inanimate objects. I hate that so much. Ellie wins the mini challenge, which is like a silly karaoke thing. I watched it, but I don't know if there's really a lot to speak on. Ellie decides that the way that she wants to set up the lineup is to make everyone flop.
She went to the Ms. Cracker school of lineups.
She said, I want all of you bitches to tumble.
Yeah.
And I want to be at least okay.
Yeah.
And Lawrence is pissed.
Lawrence is pissed. Isn't Ahura pissed?
Ahura is pissed, but Lawrence is so mad.
Lawrence is the most pissed.
Yeah.
Lawrence is interesting because Lawrence, her relationship with Ellie feels like sometimes she has a certain amount of like, I want to say this carefully.
Speak your truth. She's listening, so she can always mute.
I know, Lawrence. I know you're there. Take the earbuds out. Take the AirPods out, Lawrence. But like sometimes the way she speaks to Ellie, it's the way someone speaks to someone when they feel like they have a certain bit more jurisdiction.
Oh,
with
sure.
them or over them than everyone else in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like a bunch of friends and then someone's like best friend or their partner or something, like where they seem like they can talk to them a little more harshly or like hold them to a bit of a higher standard, and also how they treat them, which like that also just happens in general with the like pre-existing friends, pre-existing acquaintances.
Right. And they probably hung out during COVID too.
Yeah. But it's also tricky when it feels like it's like you're not really like taking care of them as a friend, but you're holding them to a higher standard as a friend.
Right. Taste describes it as like older sister dynamic.
Yes.
And it's like, I mean, I get it, but also y'all are not related. You don't need to talk to her like that.
Yeah.
She's an adult. Lawrence to me kind of comes across more like a show director in this situation. Like, I have personally seen Morgan read girls down for being late, for not showing up correctly, for not having their numbers right, for mistreating DJs, leaving shit on the stage. And the way that Morgan read and railed into these girls was very, I'm fucking pissed at you right now
Yeah.
because I came to work professionally and you didn't. And you feel that anger coming off, and it is that prickly, I don't know you like this, and I'm feeling this anger radiating off of you, where your character's normally not like that. So I feel like it's almost more jarring for Lawrence to have done that, because we don't see Lawrence mad or hot. We see her as this jovial, silly, sometimes kind of cracked and vulnerable, sad, mopey character. We don't usually see that anger. She comes across like a really mad show director, where Ahura is coming across like she has been mad at Sister for copying her, for the little slights that have happened in the competition. She's just pissed that Ellie would try to ruin her trajectory.
Yeah.
Where Lauren's like, you just made a shitty show. Why would you do that? That's so stupid. And I mean, Lawrence was right. It was a stupid show.
Yeah. That's tea. And also, I will say, in Lawrence's defense as well, since I was a little critical of her.
That's okay. This is your opinion.
It's my opinion. I was doing the crossword this morning. And the prompt was words of disclaimer.
Oh.
Or letters of disclaimer. And it was IMHO.
Oh.
And it just made me think of in my homosexual opinion.
Yes.
I couldn't read it as in my honest opinion. I forgot that was a real thing.
I forget that honest
when I
opinion
read
is too.
IMHO, I'm like, in my
Homosexual opinion.
Anyways, in my homosexual opinion, in the defense of Lawrence Chaney, I will also say, being in a situation like Drag Race with someone you know, and you also see the relationship that Ahura and Tace have, which is so good and so
very
like
familiar.
Mutually supportive. Being in such a volatile situation like Drag Race, which is probably like a little traumatic in its own right, and there's just so much like going at you and kind of against you. Right. I feel like you would turn to the person you know before that experience and expect them to be an ally to you.
Oh, yeah.
And for them to make the situation worse. That could be really upsetting in Lawrence's defense. So I could see from that perspective too why she gets so upset, because it's like we're in this like crazy thing together, and like you're just making it harder for me, and like I thought like we would have
each other's backs,
yeah,
at least a little bit,
yeah.
And they're getting maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep. They're completely deprived of sleep, and the only solid foods they're consuming are an orange rind and their absolute vodka.
And I get like pissed off about like little things. And that's a big thing.
Yeah. Especially if you perceive that someone is intentionally trying to make you stumble.
Yeah.
That's your friend. And yeah, it's not RuPaul's Best Friend race, but also, I mean, do you have to win at everybody else's loss expense?
But also I love that in this time when Lawrence is like complaining, she's like, well, how would you have done it? And Lawrence is like, I would have done a shit sandwich.
Yes.
Shut up.
Me and Bimini are the best, so put us at the front and the bottom, and then put all the shitty ones in the middle.
Like saying that in front of all the shitty people. Like I thought that was so funny. But I mean, also I think they all knew.
Yeah.
Because even like Tace wasn't making a big hoot. I feel like Tace was like neutral about it.
Sure.
But obviously Ahura knew she wasn't going to do great.
I almost feel like Tace was like thinking, I'll be fine enough. Ellie's going to flop. And knowing Ahura, she probably thought Ahura's going to flop.
Yeah.
And I mean, even though they all know that Bimini's funny, I don't think they were expecting her to be as funny as she was. It was a really interesting little tirade that happened. So, Ellie thinks she's got a good chance at a badge, which, teehee. This is kind of the most drama all season from Ellie. We haven't seen her break out of her, I almost said Oompa Loompa. I meant,
excuse me?
the Lollipop Guild. The
Lullaby League?
The Lullaby League, yeah. It's like her first
She
time.
didn't break out of her Oompa Loompa.
I didn't mean
you need to break out of your Oompa Loompa, girl. You figure that out.
Get out of that chocolate river, you little Oompa Loompa bitch. Yeah, this is the first time getting out of her Lullaby League thing. And she's being strategic, which, yeah, you played the game that way, but we haven't seen this, so it feels especially jarring. We then get into the sets.
We sure do.
We'll talk about these. We'll start with Ahura. She's the first one. Her set is all about raunchy sex. And it keeps cutting to Alan making these super cringy faces, but everyone's laughing, even Rue. Rue is cackling. I didn't think it was that cringy.
It wasn't terrible.
No, I mean, was it bombastically funny? No, but it wasn't bad. I thought she was safe, decent. Ellie is second up. She's talking really quick. And then she goes into this demon voice about how she loves the dick. She loves sex. Was this more egregious to you or equal amounts or not at all to what Ahura did? In your opinion. Because I have thoughts.
I feel like it was the same present with different wrapping paper.
Different font. It was Arial and Times New Roman to me.
I would say
Bold.
Comic Sans.
Comic Sans bold.
Comic Sans and Wingdings.
The what?
You know Wingdings?
No.
Isn't it called Wingdings?
I don't know what a wingding is, but I would like to see
Were you
one.
a Microsoft Word girl like me?
Do you not use a Mac like me?
Wingdings.
I don't think I've ever used a wingding.
I think there was Wingdings, Wingdings 1.
Oh my
or
God, they're
Wingdings 2,
unknowns.
Wingdings 3. It's this is the blueprint for unknown.
They're
Pokemon.
unknowns. Yeah.
But yeah, every letter corresponded to a symbol or an emoji. So that was in the early days how you got a lot of those symbols without having to copy them from outside sources.
Was that, in your opinion, Ellie or Ahura that was the wingding?
I think Ahura was the wingding, unfortunately.
That's so fair.
And
Which
I
one's
think Ellie
worse?
was very much Comic Sans.
Wow.
Well,
say it. Just say it. It's fine. It's a non-judgmental space.
no, I was going to say, like, if there was, like, a lost dog, but the poster was in Comic Sans, like, would you still call the number? But that was terrible. That's why I scrapped it. It wasn't a good one. They're not all good ones.
I would keep the dog. I'd be like, you don't need to go back to that environment. That's not a good place for you.
So sorry, derail. I was watching The Circle last night.
Oh.
It was the first episode, and they had this icebreaker of hypotheticals.
Yeah.
And it was, would you jump into a freezing lake to save a dog? And only one person said they wouldn't. But it was because he couldn't swim. But they didn't know that. So it was 7 people said yes, they would. And then this one guy was like, no, I wouldn't. But he couldn't explain why.
Oh, no. And then everyone's like, oh, I don't trust you at all.
Literally, yeah.
You're a fake. The Circle is where they're trying to find like a faker, right?
The Circle, well, that's more like the Mole. Well, but also sort of The Circle. It's all basically social media. You don't see any of their faces. They're all profiles. So some of them could be catfish.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, they're all communicating via message. And so it's really just about building rapport with each other.
Got it.
And they vote for their top 2 influencers of the week. And then the influencers eliminate someone based on who they think is not who they say they are, aka like, oh, I think this person's a catfish, or like this person
that's
just
so
like
cool.
isn't like really like trustworthy or whatever.
I need to watch this. There's so many shows I need to do.
That one's very much a social game.
I kind of love that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah. So going back to the set, I think Ellie's was worse than Ahora's.
Well, okay. Maybe it's just my sense of humor, but I laughed more at Ahora's, so I forgive
too.
it more. I didn't laugh at Ellie, so I thought it was worse.
Yeah, and then I think maybe this is me just being a hyper sex positive person, but I feel like when you have to resort to a voice or a bit in order to sell sexuality that you like sex, it sort of comes off a little immature to me.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Where like Ahora's just talking very naturally, like she would with her grandma, which is why she said that her grandma had a big old gaped asshole or something, right?
Which I think that comedy is like saying it very matter of factly, so it's a bit more shock humor.
Right.
Whereas like Ellie, I
saw the wheel spinning. You were like, who am I talking about right now?
My brain was literally just going, Lawrence, Ahura, Lawrence, Ahura, Lawrence, Ahura. Ellie, hers was more just like, sex, I'm talking about sex.
Yeah. Ahura was kind of doing like
the mics.
I'm freaked out.
Sorry to the people with headphones.
It was, I feel like what Ahura did was a lot like what Bianca does, where Bianca talks about like shitting her pants just as if it was an everyday thing. Or like a Joel
as
Kim
if you were talking
Booster.
about the weather.
Yeah, like a Joel Kim Booster talking about like going to the glory hole and there was somebody on the other side and then he then called up his boyfriend and asked if they wanted to have a threesome. Like it's just very casual humor. It's funny to me. But it's not like it's a big deal where Ellie was sort of immaturely like, I love sex. It's kind of worse to me than what Ahura did.
Can I... Wait, Taste isn't next, is she?
Bimini is next.
Okay, then can I just share my tea, my truth now?
Yeah.
While we're comparing them.
Yeah.
I feel like the easiest way to avoid the comparison or saying this sex act... Nope, this act about sex...
This hand job is different from that one.
This act,
This
raunchy act was more funny or more okay than this raunchy act. Like, just put them both in the bottom.
Yeah.
Because not to say, like, Ahora's was, like, not that bad, but also there are funnier people still. But I feel like Ellie's was worse than Tace's.
Yeah.
I know we haven't gotten to Tace's yet, but... While we're on the topic of them two together, I feel like it would have been easier just be like, put them both in the bottom. Like, they had a similar topic and neither were that funny.
You know, we've talked about this issue in this season before. At the very beginning, we had set up in the workroom was Astina and Tace as being very similar dancerly characters who were both doing Naomi's. And yet, they did not use that storyline at all and didn't try and create friction in the workroom and just called Taste safe and then didn't do anything with that storyline. They could have put Taste in the top and then done a who is the better Naomi situation and created some sparks that way.
Yeah.
Here, storyline wise, it would have made the most sense if Ellie was in the bottom because she was the agitator with either Lawrence or with Ahura because they have the most story value.
Yeah.
And we're jumping ahead a little bit, but the story value of Ahura and Tace being roommates and having a little fling before the show, but then not really going anywhere, it wasn't really a thing they built up very much other than Lawrence saying, oh, I think they like to slap each other's knobs in like the first 2 episodes. And that storyline was not rewarding.
I can't do the accent, but I'm noticing a lot of sexual tension between Ahura and Ahura and Tace. Sounds like she's saying Tess, Tess.
Tesco?
Ahura and Tace.
Yes. But yeah, that storyline was unresolved, this tension that we had. And that is something that happens in the US seasons. And I want to say I'm not mad at it because I kind of like when we just get competition and we don't really have to worry about stories. But also, Drag Race has primed us to be ready for these moments.
Yeah.
It's like when there was that huge Tamisha and Candy fight. They put them in the bottom together.
Yeah.
And they let them resolve it in the lip sync, and we got a resolution to that story.
Yeah. And it was tricky because I think it would have been good like that with a different song. But there is something so like heartbreaking and dramatic about Ahura and Tace lip syncing to that Dusty Springfield ballad.
Totally. They could have done that next week, though.
Right? They could have swapped that next week and then this week. And now you're treating me like a stranger.
Yeah. And then the top 4 could have been United King Dolls. And we could have had this really triumphant moment of the 4 of them coming back from the break being really strong and persisting all the way to the end. And I feel like that would have made a more rewarding story for us overall in the competition. So yeah, moving forward, or going backwards, I guess, Bimini is then 3rd. My favorite was her opening line saying, "You all look so sexy. It makes me want to dismantle the patriarchy."
So good. Just zinger after zinger after zinger.
Bait and switch. I was not expecting it from Bimini. I mean, I guess after Snatch Game, I didn't know what to expect. But at this point, I was like, I'm so glad I hitched my horse to this woman.
Hers was so good, so effortless, so casual.
Not a joke, just a fact.
That's the other thing that's so great about her. She feels so like chill and like not like... Like she's not trying to like... She's not trying to like really like do all that.
Razzle dazzle.
Yeah, because that was what's so funny about her Brexit buns or whatever in that mini challenge she won is like, she's just very herself in her comedy and she doesn't really like put on.
Yeah. Her and Taste were similar energy in that realm.
And I love Tastes too.
I did too. The last thing I want to say about Bimini is that I enjoyed her intro for Lawrence. Give it up for Scotland's answer to birth control. Lawrence
Listen,
Chaney.
I think some of the best things you can do in your stand-up routines on Drag Race is a good intro to the next girly.
Yeah.
Because there's one recently that I like.
Was it in
I can't
16?
Yeah, in the last like season or two, that was so funny. But yeah, I just think all of those are great because it's really the last impression. Like I also think about season 9, not 10.
Yeah.
The roast. I don't remember the first part of it, but I think a lot about the punchline of it, of like when Sasha Velour is introducing Valentina and she's like all the glitz and glamour, blah, blah, with all the excitement of just standing there. And like, I just think about that so much for some reason. And it's like those random little like unexpected send-offs like that.
Yes.
I think are so funny because I think they throw off the person going up.
Totally.
But then also they leave such like a funny note for the person who's leaving. Even if you have a like pretty bad set, even if you have a great zinger at the end, it's a bit better.
Oh,
you know?
totally.
Yeah,
so Lawrence is next.
I will say also, Ahora's look was pretty good, but Bimini's look was great. This was the first stand-up look I really wanted to talk about. Because like Ahora's dress is pretty, but it's like, it's fine.
It's a little fleshy.
Lawrence and Ellie are both in red rompers of different lengths.
Isn't that interesting?
But Bimini and Taste look so hot, and they look like they're about to go on a date after this together.
Bimini looks like she is the CEO of a really top Fortune 500 company.
Yeah.
And she is about to go to speed dating.
Oh my God, yes.
It's giving both of those things. CEO on lunch at speed dating.
I work for the top organic pet food company in the world.
And it's vegan.
And now I'm looking for love.
Yeah. God, yeah, she really did look so good. For Lawrence's set, she kind of just talked. It was a lot like her Snatch game.
She just kind of ran her mouth. It was funnier than her Snatch game, I'll say.
Oh, sure. But she just talked a lot. And I don't really have anything more to say. I thought she was pretty lackluster, and I think there was a very valid argument to put her in the bottom.
I keep talking about Mother Taste, and I haven't even gotten to her. Bimini win, Taste high safe.
Yeah.
Lawrence low safe. And then Taste, nope.
No?
Get her name out of my mouth.
Ahura and Ellie.
Ahura and Ellie in the bottom. That's how I would have redone it.
I feel like there's a really good argument for Ahura being there because she's had friction with so many characters. And then she gets all that out and Ellie's out. But I think also there could have been some really great resolve to this. Lawrence acts like she's better than Ellie and then actually sends her home. And they're both in red, so there would have been even more arguments of the Battle of the Red
Romper Girls.
Yeah, Red Romper Glue.
That was the original name of Pink Pony Club.
Yeah. So either could have been the Red Romper Girls or it could have been the two sex girls. There could have been argument for either one of them. But that brings us to our final of the night, which is Tace. I thought she was quite cute, actually. I agree. She was high save for me. Okay. I like that she is talking very seductively about how love beans on toast.
Yes.
You put them in your microwave. Just delicious. And they're hot. Like
it was kind of like absurd humor.
Yeah.
But here's my thoughts. One, she looks ridiculously hot. She looks so good in this dress.
So good.
Mug, always amazing. But the hair, and it had like a little like messy curl that was down. It was so hot. I was obsessed with it. She looked freaking amazing. But what I really appreciated about her set was how comfortable she was. Even if it maybe wasn't the most hilarious material, which I thought it was funny.
It was funny.
I thought it was at least chuckle, hee hee, ha ha funny.
I teeheed.
Whereas like Bimini's was like, oh my God, that's so funny. That's like really laugh out loud funny. Whereas but in the same way that I loved Bimini's comfort, like Taste just felt so confident and at ease on stage, which I'll take over cause even Lawrence felt a bit stiff to me.
Right.
And a bit nervous. And maybe that was just I don't know.
I agree. I think there was something a little manic about Lawrence's energy despite her not doing anything. And there's this thing with comedy that when the presenter is just talking very naturally, very comfortably, they're not really going crazy with what they're doing vocally.
Yeah.
You feel safe listening to their story.
Yeah.
You don't feel like, oh my God, what's about to happen next? I don't like this.
And also, in the defense of what I'm saying,
Yeah.
I think in other seasons, especially All-Star seasons, when it's in the interest of the judges, they will save a less funny act because the girl was so confident and like you just radiated on that stage, and like even if you had a few clunkers, like you just like you didn't let that stop you, like, you know, that can really be celebrated in other girls depending on the circumstance,
Right. And what story they're trying to tell.
Yeah, so I think that it should be celebrated and rewarded that someone who's not who is a fashion queen, who's a look queen, who's a performance queen, who's anything but a stand-up comedy queen, is so comfortably and so like at ease delivering this like really absurd stand-up about beans on toast.
Yeah.
I think even if you didn't listen to it, I think that is like, oh yeah, that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like a gorgeous girl in this like like slinky kind of dress, like talking about beans and toast, like she's talking about getting fucked. Like
That's what was the best part about it.
I thought it was funny, and I am a taste apologist through and through, but
Well, and she also showed vulnerability with saying, I've never been in a relationship, I've never been in love, and I've been hurt. But you know what hasn't hurt me? My dinner.
yeah.
That is such a funny on paper and an execution set.
And kind of a misdirect because, you know, there's so many acts where people just talk about their love life.
Right.
And relationships, and it's not funny, it's kind of cringe.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, I wish you would have done that.
And you see this beautiful, tall woman in a sexy outfit starting to talk about love, and you think you know where it's going to go, and then she's talking about food.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I thought she was high safe.
High safe.
It was
high
kind
safe.
of high safe. I will say her runway did stick her kind of into middle safe
High
for
safe,
me.
let's hit it. Sorry.
Beans on toast, I said let's hit it.
I've just been thinking about that show so much because Halloween's coming around. I'm like, God, I have to watch Scream Queens again.
Absolutely.
I just watched something and the dad was in it.
Oh.
What, the boring girl's dad.
Wasn't Chad in Twisters?
Yeah, well, he's everywhere now. He's
Yeah.
like super famous now. He's like the number one guy on campus. So that's so
Yeah.
weird because I'm forever gonna see him as Chad Radwell.
Is he the new... Oh, sorry, this is a horrible thing. Owen, is he the new Owen Wilson?
Well, they're trying to make him the new like Tom Cruise minus the Scientology mall.
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
He is a
Fingers
Jehovah
crossed.
Witness, though.
Is that tea?
No. I'm
God.
just saying, like, that'll be his religious fatal flaw.
No, you said
You were like, oh my God, is
Tea.
he really? I said
These
it so matter of fact.
podcasters are spilling tea. Did y'all hear? He's a Jehovah's Witness. Let's send that to
Get
the
that
tea accounts on Instagram.
Have you seen the Pooh Crave? Send that off to Pooh Crave.
Yeah. Glenn Powell's a Jehovah's Witness. Source, me.
Source, gay homosexual podcast. So the runway category is Stone on the Runway, originally dripping in diamonds.
Diamonds.
I do wish that maybe the episode title was Make 'em Laugh, because it is interesting to hinge the episode title on the runway, but that's just a weird little editor's note that I wanted to make sure that I put in here. Thoughts? There's only 5 of them, so let's talk about these. Ahura looks fucking stunner.
Yeah, such a odd little concept.
Mm-hmm.
Like she's gorgeous, but the IV bags, the poison IV bags.
We talked about the bulk sale that happened between season 13 and this one.
Oh my
where
God.
she and Tina went and bought their fake legs from the same warehouse sale. Her and Joey both went to the same warehouse sale and got some IVs.
Yeah, the poison IV bags are
It's a weird element that didn't need to be here, I think. It's a cute idea, but maybe if she had even more stones on her face, like she had injected so many rhinestones in her body that she's becoming one, like what Lawrence looked like.
Yeah.
But even then, that's such a hard look to sell on the runway. I don't know if it would make sense.
Yeah, I think the other tricky part too is though, like her look last week was just such a slay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to compare it to anything.
Right. Bimini's going gross.
I love this look. I love it so much.
Bleh, but I live.
It's so gross, but so fun and so her. And like really like this and like her amoeba look, I feel like really are like such a great like peek into her brain and like how I love how she's interpreting these challenges and like that's just such a fun creative way to do it. So punk.
Is Bimini the first person to do filth on the runway? Because I mean, this is a 100% Dragula filth category.
Yeah.
I can't think of anybody else before this that did filth. Because this is gross.
Yeah.
This is especially filth. Her like squeezing the little zits out on the runway and looking at them with both fingers, pushing them out. It was nasty, but it was so good.
Fashion filth.
Fashion filth. I don't think anybody's done it before her. Then Ellie's is super low key.
Back in the Lollipop Guild. Back in the Lullaby League.
In wintertime.
And yeah, this is the Lullaby League in the wintertime, right before they go into hibernation.
Like bear cubs. This was more than justification to stick her in the bottom.
Yes.
This was not stoned. I mean, you see it, but it's not really the category. It looks winter skater to me.
Yeah.
And it's also not dripping in jewels either.
Yeah.
Is there dripping anywhere besides on the skirt?
I'm tripping.
I'm dripping in jewels.
No, just like the top part is stoned, but it's not dripping.
Oh, the category, their original prompt was dripping in diamonds. Hold on, let me fact check this.
Dripping in diamonds. So then what is Lawrence doing?
That's what I'm wondering all of a sudden. Hold on. The original concept was dripping in diamonds. So then let's talk about Lawrence Chaney, who's... What is this?
A sexy, yesified Steven Universe character.
Yes. Rosite? Rose quartz? Rose quartz.
Is this rose quartz?
I don't know.
I don't even know what stone this is.
Yeah, that's what is the stone?
It's like watermelon tourmaline.
I think it is rose quartz. But it could be tourmaline.
Cuz also I could see her doing amethyst, but it's more like magenta.
I looked up rose quartz.
Do you know who the voice of that character is?
Who? I'm
the same woman who voices Meg from Hercules.
Stop, I love that.
Yeah, isn't that slay?
Yeah, this is definitely rose quartz.
Oh,
you said magenta and I cut you off and I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine, but like wouldn't amethyst have made more sense for her branding because she's totally the purple queen?
Yeah.
But also I hate the knee pads. Like what are these like crystal knee pads?
Mm-hmm.
She's giving a crystal blowy.
I wonder
to sister.
If those are knee vaginas. The Neosies.
Oh, the Nussie, of course.
Nussies.
Well, she has them on the backs of her hands too. Maybe it's contagious.
Oh, I wonder if it's like a Jesus metaphor.
Oh, of course.
The Jehovah Witnesses
because
are back.
Jesus got crucified through his knees.
I'm so into sacrilege right now. I wonder if the runway category was changed because they were like, Lawrence, you're out of theme.
Lawrence, what is this?
Pooja,
what is
stoned
this
on the
behavior?
runway. We're out of category, so we're changing the runway theme.
I will say, body.
Body.
Her hips are always on 1,000. Hip card never denied.
She's very Doctor Who. I'm obsessed. It is a good look, but I mean, knowing the original concept was dripping in diamonds, I do want to know where the departure missed the station.
How do we get here?
Right, and then ended up at the bus stop.
Did you see Roxy there?
Yeah, and then she ran over Regina George a couple times.
Oh my god. Of course.
And then we have Tace.
Tace.
Who looks really cute. I do think it's kind of low key.
Okay, and it's definitely giving an outfit she had, and then she had the diamond drips added on her arms and stuff, and then it wasn't even dripping in diamonds.
But that hair.
The hair is sick, and the outfit is cool. Do you know what it needed? Like, if it almost had like a silver version of what Ahura made last week.
Yes.
Just the back of it. It just
had a
needed
cape.
some like a cape or like sleeves where it's like it looked almost like kind of like Final Fantasy, like a little like armory or like
Right.
something almost like wings. It just needed another piece because I think the body part is cool.
They loved it too.
Yeah, just I would like one more thing on it.
It is
but
kind of
she
a
looked
risk
amazing.
to show up for the semi-final episode in a bodysuit bikini. It's kind of risky to be like, I'll be fine.
And she did that.
Yeah. I wouldn't have worn that for the top 5 episode TBQH. So, yeah, there was a lot of storyline potential, but they decided to not go forward with any of those story options. They really read Ahura for being too crass, even though her name is Ahura, which is crazy. They said that Ellie did not have rhythm in her set. Ruth says that Bimini looks like an actress. And she goes, Meryl Streep. I loved that.
As if she wasn't already going to win. Like,
Right.
that just was...
That was it. Lawrence is told that she's a natural comic, but that it took her a long time to get to the joke. I thought that was an interesting critique. And then Tace is actually given really great critiques about her set and about the runway.
So what happened?
What happened between the runway and the time where they went to the bottoms? Bimini's the winner. Deserved.
Absolutely.
Absolutely deserved. Not a joke, just a fact. Bottom 2 is Ahura and Tace, which I wrote in my notes was stupid as fuck.
Yeah, I already said my thoughts about who the bottom should have been, but this
Right.
definitely felt like a storyline moment.
Right.
I felt that when I watched it the first time. I was like, oh, it's like when they put Brooklyn in the bottom with Vanjie.
Right. We didn't need this. It wasn't a rewarding thing the first time, and then it wasn't rewarding here, I think, at all, because we as the audience weren't even clued in too much. I mean, besides that they're friends and they live together, they didn't allow that to slip into the competition at all.
Yeah.
They like didn't really interact with each other. They tried very hard to stay away from each other.
Yeah.
I felt like.
But I don't know. I just felt like because of this song, because the chorus is like, you don't have to say you love me, just be close. You know, like, I just feel like they were trying to do something.
Absolutely. Was it successful?
No.
No.
Trinity K. Bonet. No.
Lanesha? No. I do want to say the one thing that I thought was weird is that they're all standing there and Ruth says Ellie needs polish and then calls her safe. Taze isn't even given a reason why she's in the bottom. I think it's very apparent why Ahura was there.
You're safe, you dull turd.
Get the hell off my stage.
Get that off my stage. I don't want to see
Get
that
that,
anymore.
get that Lollipop Guild off the stage. I do not want to watch that. Episode 9 we move in is called BEASTenders. Beast!
Oh, gosh.
I'm not watching Global. Are they referencing Beast at Alyssa at any given moment, or are they not
You
really?
know, we haven't gotten a lot of Alyssa-isms.
Interesting.
No, yeah. Well, a lot of people talk about this season kind of feels like it's been edited by non-Drag Race people because it's very rushed. There's no mirror message, like a lot of things.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of drama.
Yeah.
The mini challenge is a puppet challenge. I love that.
It's so late. But I mean, I guess it usually is this late, but it could have been like a week ago, especially
Totally.
with the stand-up.
Yeah.
I feel like that felt like that would have been more in tune. Because then also the winner of the puppet challenge should...
Do the lineup.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
And it would also make sense if they did that karaoke thing this week, I feel like.
Bars, because panto and acting,
Yeah.
vocal, warm-up.
And remember when they did the reading challenge the week before Snatch Game? Or it was the week after Snatch Game?
Yeah.
Yeah, there have been a lot of mini mains that haven't been connected this season.
The mini and the mains, they're in discordance.
It's discordant. So, if I remember correctly, they didn't do one in 13, right? A puppet challenge? I think they're done in the U.S. with puppets now.
Who killed puppets in the U.S.? Who ruined puppets for everyone in the U.S.?
Did they do puppets in 12? I think they did.
Did someone have to do a Sherry puppet? I don't remember that.
I don't remember either. Maybe it was season 12 that killed puppets.
Much to think about.
Much to think about. So we get to the challenge where they have to do dramatic acting in a show called the BEASTenders. They have to play larger-than-life characters in a pub called the Queen Dick. And Bimini gets to choose the roles since she was the winner. I thought Bimini was so funny in the puppet challenge. By
She
the way.
was hilarious in the puppet challenge, and she's hilarious in the acting challenge.
So good.
Can I spill my tea, my truth?
I wish you would. For Quirky You?
I've never seen EastEnders.
I haven't either.
This challenge meant nothing to me.
That's so fair. It was, I think, a humor that maybe we might not be privy to because we don't watch the show.
And there were like some things that were funny just objectively, but a lot of it felt like, I feel like I need to watch the show to laugh at this. Which, like, I get that there are some things where, like, even in US Drag Race, it's referenced and I was like, oh, well, because I've seen that, so I know that's funny. But it's like, if you don't know, then maybe you're missing some of the nuance. But this one was very much like, so maybe that's why Breastworld has never been funny to me, because I've never seen Westworld.
No, I don't think we should excuse
I don't think that's the reason.
I don't think that's it.
But yeah, like for that reason, I don't understand a lot of what they're referencing or alluding to. So beyond just like the clearly funny things, it's
And why
kinda
was there a
lost on
mannequin?
me.
Why didn't they just pull in
See,
a pit
okay,
crew?
all of that mess. That was the other thing, is it was mess, and then he didn't stay just in the challenge. That was the other part.
He stayed in the deliberation, and they had a, what is it called? Incorporeal or corporeal? Is that what it's called when you have your voice?
Incorporeal. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Is that what it's
Okay.
called?
As if it wasn't bad enough that we just had an entire audience of inanimate objects. Now we have one on the judges panel. They're taking over.
I would rather a puppet like on the judges panel. Like, give me a Miss Piggy.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with that.
Yeah.
But this mannequin dude, mama.
Oh, I would absolutely. Any of the Muppets can be welcomed on the judging panel on any time.
Could you imagine Miss
Even
Piggy?
Animal. No, give me Janice.
Her blunt bang.
Yeah.
Yes, I love her. She's so fierce. I don't know if we need to talk too much about the challenge. It was. I feel like maybe we're a little disconnected from it.
Yeah.
Let's talk the runways.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Panto at all?
Honestly, all of my knowledge of Panto has been through Drag Race.
Same.
I think the Panto Rusical from last season was a great educational experience for me as well. And then I looked up a little bit more Panto, but...
Now, I ask ignorant question because you're the expert in the room at the moment of the two of us who have minimal expert knowledge. Panto is like a more evolved Shakespearean concept, right? Where it's like really dramatic, really camp, maybe, or I'm so wrong. I'm
It's
just
like,
trying to wrap my head around it.
I would say it's like if you took Shakespeare plus like Playhouse Disney shows at Disneyland.
Okay. Fascinating.
And
More
a little
baby them?
bit of, yeah, maybe not with that hand gesture that you did, but well, because it's very like,
I'm so sorry.
it's very like Mickey Mouse Playhouse to the audience. Like,
Okay.
sorry to the Brits watching that, are like, wow, this is fucking
No,
atrocious
Mickey Mouse.
and offensive. But like, I don't know, I don't have a lot of like things that I perceived in my youth that was that, like, you know, the speaking to the audience in an interactive sort of element. But then it's also very theatrical, very camp, very costume, character based.
Okay.
It's like I don't know, the Wizard of Oz
With puppets.
children's show done by Shakespeare.
Okay. I'm into
Yes,
that.
Playhouse Disney Wizard of Oz as done by Shakespeare.
Wow.
Shakespeare.
Interesting. You know what? I'm into that. That explains the makeup. So starting out with Bimini, since we're going in alphabetical order, not necessarily how they showed up on the runway, Bimini looks gorgeous. She's doing a baby doll look.
Yeah.
Love this lemon color.
And so from what I understand, the Panto Dame is the main heroine of the Panto show.
Okay. Heroine.
Heroine. They're the main sexy, sultry heroine of the Panto show.
I love the makeup. I love the dress. It looks like a baby doll. It looks like a little kid.
Yeah,
She's
it's
serving
cute.
it.
It's hard because I love her other looks so much. I'm like, this is so boring. Come on. But,
Yeah.
But it's not like she could have done so much. But no, I think I like the direction she went. I love the pink and yellow. And yeah, the makeup's fun. The acting was fun.
Even using this ruffle fabric as the details was nice. This is not a silhouette we've ever seen Bimini do.
Yeah.
She's always raising the bar.
Period.
That's why
and doing
she's
it
that
flawlessly.
girl. And doing it flawlessly. Ellie Diamond is doing a queen look. I don't hate this.
I really like the look. I don't like the execution.
What is you not responding to, and why is it the cup at the hip?
The hoop skirt fupa? Mm-hmm. Yeah. That. So I don't understand what's happening because it looks like it's super fitted up until the puss.
Yeah.
And then the hoop skirt starts right there.
Right at the
where
coochie.
it just felt like the distribution of the skirt and the shape. And so I will say, I'm assuming she created it so that it started right under that jacket.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like the jacket goes in at the waist, flares out, and then the hoop starts below that. But I feel like you still could have started it under the jacket to accentuate the flare
Totally.
of the waist. I don't know.
That is the most distracting part to me.
Yeah.
It brings me into a different
And also
fantasy.
the bicep of the jacket is quite puffy. So I think it was trying to create volume, but it just like, it's hard because she has such thin arms. Like her wrists, forearms are so thin that with the bulkiness of the forearm, the bulkiness of the skirt, it takes me out of it, which is unfortunate because I love the red and blue, the red, blue, white with this almost like Cruella de Vil trim on it. Like I do kind of live.
I am obsessed with those little feathers.
And I've said before, she's always mugged.
She's mugged.
Down. Her makeup at her age is absolutely crazy.
Insane that she can do that. I like the rhinestone placements too.
Yeah, well, because what I love about and appreciate about Ellie's makeup for her age is like, next season we have Crystal Versace, who's also mugged down, face card never denied, but she is beauty mug. Whereas like, and even like, yeah. Like,
Ellie's giving me back of the stage, can enjoy
like,
it, front of the stage, can
because
enjoy
Blue also was mugged, but I think she's more mugged now. Whereas like season 1 Blue, I think she was still figuring out like her face and her features, but she still was a really great chameleon and great at effects and everything. But Ellie has already at this point an amazing grasp of her face, her features, how her face responds to different like shades and colors. And she just looks, her mug is flawless always, no matter what type of mug she's doing.
Yeah.
And she's done a lot of really theatrical makeup that the young girls usually, like the stamped mugged girls, can't do. Well, maybe they can do it. They just don't do it on Drag Race.
Right.
But she's done a lot of versatile, really theatrical makeup that still looks beautiful and stamped and flawless. And I really, really appreciate that.
Totally. And she does look incredible for, I think they said she was 21 at the time, right?
Yeah, a child.
She's a baby. I do have 2 construction questions for you that now I've looked at it.
Okay.
The line of the neck is pointing in a different direction. The dial is pointing in a different direction than the stoning.
It almost looked...
Like maybe she did it, the neckline, and then realized it was wrong, but the stoning had to be down the middle.
yeah.
And so that had to get adjusted.
Like from afar, like... maybe they won't notice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we just like showered her in compliments, which she deserves for everything else, but that is an interesting construction.
Yeah, it
thing.
looks like it has like decorative closures on the exterior, but it closes in a completely different place on the interior.
Totally. And the last thing is, did she use an invisible bra strap to keep her shoes on her feet?
You better eagle eye that.
I was zoomed in.
Not the invisible strap.
I was looking at the look and I'm like, what's going on with her
creating
foot?
an ankle strap with the invisible strap. Diabolical.
I mean, maybe these shoes were not her size, but she really wanted to wear them. I would have never thought to use an invisible strap.
She really wanted to wear that black pleaser.
Yeah. She said, that's the one for my panto
God,
queen.
I need that black pleaser right now.
I just love doing that black pleaser. Okay, and then we've got next is Lawrence Cheney.
No.
It's a no from you.
I was gonna say, I don't want to be rude and say boot right off the bat. Let me start with what I like. She's repping Canada versus the world with the purple and yellow. I love.
Yes.
Okay, she's prophetic. Canada versus the world season 3 winner is gonna have a light blue motif.
I hope
she's got
so.
that aqua. But no, okay. I like the pops of yellow and electric blue.
Yeah.
And I like the sewer idea with the measuring tape corset waistband. I think that's
it's
really
so
cool.
cute.
And the sewing pins as like a little like trim on her shoulder.
Those are cute.
However,
ever.
the outfit itself is not delicious to me. I don't like the second purple fabric, not the solid purple,
The sewing pin fabric?
the patterned one. The patterned purple and white fabric. Oh, it is sewing pins.
It is sewing pins.
See, I'm getting shitty
It's
signal over
sewing
here.
pins, it's buttons, it's sewing machines.
So, haha, sewing, haha. So, see, so here's my problem right there.
Yeah.
I, and the judges probably, cannot tell that there are sewing machines on that fabric.
Yeah.
You can see that. And so that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But like, to me, I'm just seeing this weird purple and white patterned fabric that cheapens the solid purple. That looks quite nice.
Yeah.
Because that solid, like deep, like almost violet purple with the electric blue edge is really quite delicious to me.
Isn't it?
But the choice of that tertiary fabric is not the tea for me. I guess the electric blue is the tertiary. This would be the secondary.
Yeah. It could have been that fun swirly, the one that's almost vine-like where the white is there. I think that maybe would have looked a little bit better. Or would you have hated that just as much?
I would have preferred... it would have been cute if it was patterns or something.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
we've seen some pattern dresses recently. I would have preferred if it just looked like pattern paper,
Muslin.
something that just looked really like deconstructed, like construction-y vibes to go with the sewing machine and the pins and everything.
Muslin with more pins all through it would have been really fun.
Yeah, that would have been cute because then it could have been more like the original Cinderella dress.
Oh, yeah.
Like that
It's very
kind of,
Cinderella.
like the one the rats make, I just don't like how everything comes together. I
Sure.
also don't love this hair because she does the light blue brow, which really washes out her features.
She looks like Aunt Sponge or
Oh.
Spiker
Oh my
a little bit with the lack of brow. Okay, but get into this tee, which is really cute. She has bobbins for buttons.
That's super cute.
That tee is really cute.
This is really an up close look.
Yeah, this is not something I think that translates very well from far
I mean,
away.
if I was like a little kid in the audience and she was like on the stage and like I was like seeing it like with my little child eyes up close, like that would be fun.
Yeah, this is a perceive from up close. Our last one is Taste, who does look markedly different. She almost looks kitsune to me.
Yeah, and so even if you don't know the category, when the judges say that she doesn't really look like a panto dame, I feel like you're like, well, I can kind of see that because she doesn't look like anyone else up there.
Right, it's so different.
She looks like, I mean, she's giving the hot girls on Halloween when they all go as fairies. Like, I don't know.
I'm Tinkerbell, duh.
Yeah. I mean, it's really pretty. She definitely looks like a character in a musical.
Okay, but get into if she had a completely different runway for this and used this look last week for Dripping in Jewels. Or Dripping in Diamonds.
Oh, and she put those like trails of diamonds along the train or something, along the foxtails. Also, the like multiple like kind of foxtails with the fairy wings is such a fascinating duo.
Right.
I mean, I like it. I like him. No, I liked her look last week more. I don't know.
It's funny because Taste has almost flip-flopped from being so strong fashion-wise to what in the Joe Black happened to your drag?
Okay, yeah, because it just like after like the sewing challenge, it just stopped clicking, honestly.
Yeah. Totally. It's kind of sad because she was really on such an uphill in the first half. So the challenge winner is Bimini,
Slay.
which is completely and totally deserved. This is her 4th win.
Crazy. 2 weeks in a row, too.
2 weeks in a row. Isn't that insane? One of the critiques that Lawrence has given is that she needs to get out of her head. And I wrote down that
True.
That in particular, well, she does. I wrote down that was weird in particular because I can't think of other winners that have been given such a harsh, almost detrimental week 1 critique or a week 2 critique at the semifinal.
Right. The week before they win, they're told they need to get out of their head. Isn't that crazy?
That's a really odd critique to leave in the edit. Knowing that she's going to win, that they leave that critique in there.
Yeah.
Because that's like a week 2, week 3. Get out of your head, get out of your way before you go home.
Especially because, like, the final challenge is a performance challenge. Mm-hmm. So it's not like it's the kind of thing where she's going to get out of her head and, like, rise to the occasion. I mean, she does good.
Yeah.
But it's not, like, the kind of thing where she can, like, go out and smash it.
Mm-hmm. This season felt, watching it over again, a lot like watching Cheddar lose to Danny. Not that Danny did bad, but Cheddar was so good and consistent all season. And watching Bimini do so good and seeing her star rise, having so much confidence even going into the finale, and then her not winning felt so unsatisfying. The bottom this week is Ellie versus no. Sorry. It should have been Lauren versus Ellie. It's Ellie versus Taste, which is an odd choice, I thought. They had no story line to tell.
Okay, because we didn't talk about the challenge much. Lawrence looked good in the final product, but she was flopping big in the filming.
Totally.
And a girl who does good in the final, but flops big in the the recording, the practice, whatever. If it's to their benefit, they will be safe. Mm-hmm. But if it's to their benefit for this girl not to be safe and be in the bottom for that reason, she'll be in the bottom for that reason. Yeah. So Lawrence definitely gets like the benefit of a lot of those circumstances where like some girls have had the same exact circumstance and been in the bottom because it was the same thing where either RuPaul or Michelle were there in the room when that filming was happening. They're like, well, I will say they were a wreck when we were doing this, and it took a lot of direction for them to get to that point, you know, and that could have been said. So that's my only thing.
I mean, it's kind of a bad comparison because it wasn't great at the final product, but this happened to Aja in season 9 wasn't great in that 90210 challenge or whatever, and they were like, you were difficult to work with, you didn't get your shit together. And that stuck her in the bottom.
Well, I'm also just salty because Taste has been in the bottom for 3 weeks in a row.
Undeservedly for some of them.
Yeah.
Especially last week.
Yeah.
I would have been more okay with it this week.
This week than last week. Agreed.
Sure. I would have been more okay with it. But nobody's even eliminated, which also feels kind of bad. I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do it on a limb, just do it on a limb and say you're all going to the finale. I don't think it's even necessary to keep the format or knock a bitch off.
Yeah. Well, because do you know what the tea is? It couldn't have been a lip sync for the win because there weren't anyone else that deserved the win more than Bimini.
Oh, totally.
So they was like, well, we can't do like a top 2 lip sync. Like,
right. Because who would it be? Lawrence and Bimini? We already know that Bimini deserved it more because Lawrence was hard in the challenge. And maybe that's why Ahura should have been here this week. Because I think Ahura would have done really good in this.
Oh, okay. Spill.
She would have been really, really good in this challenge. I think that she probably would have gotten the character that Taste played, and Taste probably would have been the old lady.
Oh, wow.
And I could see Taste doing really good, and that especially coming off of last week.
Yeah.
Talking about how she had never been in love, and then having to be this horny old lady who's got to fuck this mannequin.
One more thing we do have to talk about. Taste in the breastplate.
Oh, I did write that down, and I wanted your thoughts on her in that white breastplate.
Crazy. Because it's such an offensively huge breastplate as well. And it's so...
a completely different color.
It's so funny. Like, y'all could buy Saphira Cristal new boobs while y'all are filming, but y'all couldn't go grab a pair of boobs for Taste.
That's boobsfortaste.com.
Boobs for Taste.
Ding.
Choose cruise with boobs. Yeah.
Yeah, insane.
I think about that still. It looks crazy. And she also didn't cover the neck seam, did she? Didn't
No.
She just went
She
for
didn't
it.
want to put makeup on it or anything.
No necklace, no choker, no India Farah necklace.
India Farah mentioned. Okay, so let's talk the winner or the top 4 really quick as we're getting into this finale. So we've got Lawrence. She started out really strong.
Miss.
Was absolutely there.
Miss.
Went on a break. And then she just had no steam behind her propeller, I feel like.
Yeah.
None.
It was kind of having to prove what she did in the first half.
Yeah. It's kind of sad to see a winner have no steam for their last 6 episodes and get very consistently bad critiques. Even last week, her getting get out of your own way, get out of your head. That's not a critique that the winners get.
Also weird because a lot of the challenges this season in the second half, you're like, oh, I could have seen this being her challenge.
Yeah. Snatch Game, the roast, BEASTenders, those all felt like things that she should have done well at.
Yeah.
We've got Bimini, who started out the season lip syncing and had that really cringe Lair of Hell runway. Her runways were always keeping her behind. She gets that break and comes back with momentum, but is just not cocky about it at all. Just comes in and is still doing Bimini and is just chill the whole rest of the season. It was so good to see and so gratifying.
Yeah.
But then no payoff.
True.
Taste being the lip sync assassin, 4 lip syncs that she's won. She has great presence, and her style at the beginning was really strong, but then she, like Lawrence, flipped to the other side of the spectrum. And then Ellie, who was really polished all season, just didn't always connect.
Yeah.
But she seemed to have such a refined sense of self coming back from that break. Her and Bimini were on the same track, whereas Tace and Lawrence were on the same highway in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
They have their little lunches with Rue, which I don't really have a ton of thoughts about. And then they have to lip sync and perform to A Little Bit of Love, which is an odd 8-count song. Little bit of love goes a long, long way.
And the mix of this top 4 performance was atrocious.
So bad.
The mix is so bad.
I think I counted 16 beats they all got because I think they had 2 8 counts. If I'm not mistaken, 16 is not a lot to talk about yourself. And it's not really a talk about yourself, introduce yourself, talk about how fierce you are type of a number. It's supposed to be about loving the world and loving yourself. And I don't think you have enough time to do that in 16 beats.
Yeah. Yeah. It's horrible. Some of them, like, Ellie tries to fit the most amount of words, you know, but do you remember any of the verses? Any thoughts on any of them?
Not a word. The only thing I remember is that Veronica came out in a different color palette from everyone else. Everyone was in the very specific red theme, and Veronica came out in a nude bodysuit.
I've heard, I don't know if you've ever heard it. So it's on YouTube if you search for it. Someone made a better version of this mix.
Oh.
Where it's just like, it's more on beat. The voices sound clearer. Through that, I came to really appreciate Bimini's.
Okay. Do you remember any of her lines?
Bimini babes, watch the queen conquer. Law of attraction, speak and you'll prosper.
Oh, I love that.
That's the opening line.
See, the music was so loud I could barely hear any of them. The mix was
it
bad.
After that? Be a savage, know that you have this. You're a bad bitch. Something like that. And I remember Tace's is like lights, camera, action, runway assassin, something like that. So Tace's was good too. I like Tace. I like Bimini's. Ellie tries to do the thing where she fits the most amount of words in the least amount of time. And Lawrence has historically struggled with a challenge such as this. But, you know, she made it through.
Yeah.
She made it through.
So before we get to the final moments, do we want to talk about the last looks?
Oh, there's some really good ones.
Some quick thoughts on the ones that we were met about, and then talk a little more about the ones we actually like.
Yeah.
Alphabetically, we do the Bring Back My Girls. Alphabetically. Ahora. Cute.
Delicious.
Love the asymmetry.
Love the colors. The lavender, the mint, and I love that wig.
The boot and then the heel.
This is also basically what... oh, you didn't watch the season.
Which one?
The season Jomber's Blonde was on originally. Or no, did you?
I watched Jomber's season.
This is basically the thing that Jombers
That was
wears
4,
for...
right?
Yeah, you're right. The
Yeah,
thing
I
that Jombers wears for the top 5 episode where RuPaul's
Right.
like, this is the most gorgeous thing I've ever seen. It's basically that.
I love that Ahora's hair is doing the gay wrist flick. Is she...
Is she, you know, very cute.
Very cute. Astina...
I feel like this is a reference to a woman.
It's gotta be.
I think this is a reference to a woman, so slay.
We'll say that, and it's a sleigh. Cherry.
Fucking amazing.
It's a beautiful redo of her promo look.
Yeah.
Because this is basically her promo, but in sequin.
Oh, that's hot. And also the way that, like, it seems almost darker up top. It might just be the way the light hits it, but it seems almost deeper, like a darker, more saturated look up top. So the way the light hits on the front, it almost looks like it's like draped like around her. Like,
Yeah.
it's just so gorgeous.
She's a killer. Queen.
She'll make you scream.
Yeah, she looks beautiful. Ginny Lemon, iconic in some Goodwill clothing.
Yeah, in flats, on her way to feed the ducks at the park.
Yes!
Absolutely love it.
She's totally about to go feed ducks.
Yeah.
We have Joe Black in this beautiful red.
Absolutely crazy. I
boat?
love this look. The boat on the head.
What?
With the pannier hip silhouette to kind of mirror that. Like, they're both kind of like that wide and sassy.
The 3 different fabrics, the one that's got the beading and embellishment, the clean satin, and then the lace.
Yeah.
I love when you can incorporate multiple
is the
fabrics.
neck ruff in lace? Which fabric is that for the neck ruff? I'm obsessed with that.
It looks like structured lace. Like, what is that you put underneath something to give it
Like boning?
boned
lace?
It's like the fabric that when you get it hot.
What's the word? Like the fusing. I don't remember what it's called right
You know what I'm
now.
talking about,
Yeah.
right? Where and then as soon as you get it hot, it stays that way, so you
Yeah.
can add structure. That's kind of what it looks like to me.
Wow, so hot. Yeah, this and the look after this are my 2 favorites of the night.
Do you like Sisters?
I was gonna say this is my other favorite look.
Really? I mean, it's very cool. I don't
I
understand why she has
love
an
it.
axe.
I don't either, but I love it. It's just such a weird combo, but her, Joe, and Ahura are like my holy trinity for tonight. I mean, because it's green, probably.
It's a
but
beautiful green.
It's so stunning. This green velvet, and I mean, it just looks like it's a curtain.
She looks like a show curtain, like when they're about to open up for the Broadway show.
With the gold chain like choker, the short
Yeah.
finger wave hair, the 2 different earrings, question mark?
She looks kind of Gatsby. She's cool. And then the blue mouth makes a return.
The blue mouth, yeah, and the bloody axe. I don't know. It's weird, but I think she looks so gorgeous. It's
looks
probably
incredible.
the best she's looked.
If she didn't have the axe, this would be my top 2 to the week.
What
I
if
think.
she was holding like a candelabra?
Bitch, that would have been everything.
Okay, I got
that would
you.
have been it. The axe just throws me out of whatever the story
A
was.
dripping
supposed to be.
candelabra.
Yeah.
Like a waxy melting.
I would have come. That would have been so
I
hot.
would have come.
Then we got Tier Coffee.
Tear coffee.
It's very Tia.
It is. I like the gloves, question mark, sleeves. Like, I
the
like
red
that. The fabric is cool. I don't know. Something about it isn't like striking enough.
It looks like it's supposed to be a bathing suit with the way that the cups are, but then it was last minute changed. Like, I would have been maybe more okay with this if it had been a 1940s, 1950s bathing suit where it cuts here. And then if the red things had stayed as floaties and maybe those were that same red.
I think she needs a bigger head thing to balance how big her hair is. I think it needs like a huge, like, super like structured thing in this fabric up top.
Yeah.
And I think she needs to pad those hips out more to give the sorry.
But those shoulders should match those
I
hips.
think because her figure is so incredible, I just want to see her with like freaking like 5 inches out, more than that, like 8 inches out on either side. like 12 inches, a foot, $5 foot long on either side. Like, I want you to be able to
Put a sandwich on your head.
Be able to smuggle a foot long in
Yeah.
either one of your hip pads.
Sure.
Just because her body is so incredible. If she had crazy hips, especially with this look, I think it would have looked really sick.
Yeah. Then we've got Veronica doing Sailor G.
Are you
I
sure
guess.
it's her? She's got on a mask. It could be anyone.
It could be someone else. You're right. You know, as someone who loves Sailor Moon, and this particular green is very indicative of Jupiter, but she's doing the V silhouette. I'm like, my inner weeb is like, it's wrong.
Well, it's like she had like the pattern for the costume.
Yeah.
And she chose the fabric.
Yeah. I get it. She's doing her color branding story. I think it's smart. I just wish it wasn't Sailor V.
What a crazy look to come back in.
What does it have to do with her storyline, I wonder?
I mean, like, she's a hero. She's a COVID shiro. She had COVID and she's a hero.
And she's wearing a mask.
I think that she...
Do you think this is why she got COVID? Because she was wearing...
She was wearing the mask
That mask.
top. They said wear a mask, and she bought that on Amazon day one, and she was wearing it for
I shouldn't have said that. I'm so sorry. Veronica, please don't cancel me on Twitter. It was a joke.
Oh my god. But yeah, I mean, she was a COVID super shiro.
Sure.
But very strange. Imagine if she'd come back looking like a Hora or looking like Joe. Like, I'm sorry, not to compare, but like you come back in something like that would have been like, damn, like we could have had this all season.
Yeah.
Like, make them miss you.
Yeah, make us excited for the return.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like this was probably the lowest of the week. So then our final four looks, Bimini doing a bridal look because she, in her own words, said that fashion shows end with the bridal look.
Yeah.
And she wanted to end cap her time on Drag Race. She looks so beautiful.
Yeah, fun.
I'm obsessed. I love the makeup. She looks cool.
How do you feel about the hair for her?
The hair, I like the way that it's styled, that swirly in the middle.
Yeah.
I don't think I like the sort of peacock mohawk thing.
Well, I think we've evoked its name a few times. Is it not a little like lollipop guilty to you?
Oh, a little
like
bit.
something about it? I don't know.
Maybe she borrowed it from Ellie.
I like the nipples.
I love the nipples. They're the eyes of the face.
I like it. I like it.
It's very clean
Yeah.
and well constructed. Ellie is doing a Galinda look. She started out Lollipop Guild, did all the companions, and then did this. Did she do a Dorothy look at all through the season? I feel like she did a Dorothy look, and I'm not recalling right now because I know Ahura did at the beginning.
Yeah.
She's done a lot of Wizard of Oz references.
Yeah.
And is it really hateful for me to say? Sometimes I don't know when the girls are genuinely very interested in Wizard of Oz or when they're kissing Rue's butt.
So real. Well,
Is that
also just
horrible to
like
say?
gay, like, yeah, cancel us.
Cancel me. Because I love Wizard of Oz. Jake loves Wizard of Oz. I know this family is very...
It just feels like sometimes, like, when Ginger Minge would talk about it,
Yeah.
like, it's that kind of feeling where it's like, well, okay, and that's the thing, is it's like, maybe it's even just the genuine intersection of, like, I really care about Wizard of Oz, but so does RuPaul, so I'm going to really,
Right.
like, get into it.
I'm going to get into it, girl.
So, you
I'm
know,
going to give it
kinda
to
that.
her.
It's not my favorite interpretation of Glinda. I mean, it feels accurate, but, like, I don't know. I think it needs a little more, like, just something else to give it a little more, like, va-va-voom.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, like, it's impressive volume. I think it's just the shade. That kind of, like, peachy
not
color that
bubblegum.
on her is almost a nude. Because that's almost like an
Right.
undertone for her.
Yeah.
That, like, it's not pink enough, which, like, in fairness, it's more like the original Glinda. It's more like that kind of, like, pale pink. But
It's too matchy to the hair. It should have been a little more of a bombastic color.
Yeah, I just think there needs something to make it stand out a little bit more. But she looks gorgeous.
I'm going to reference something and see if you clock it. She picked Glinda because she's good, but sometimes she's a witch.
Wait, what is that?
Deep cut to season 8, the little person challenge.
Oh my god.
Little Women.
You evil. You're evil for that.
It was a quote from the little woman. Then we have a Lawrence Chaney doing a purple version of RuPaul's iconic Drag Race logo outfit. I like the purple.
Speaking
on
of
her.
kissing up to RuPaul.
Speaking of kissing Ru's butt cheeks.
I feel like if we're going to say Ellie is for doing Glinda, then we have to say that Lawrence is.
You know what's so funny is they make a big deal about how it's London versus oh my god. Scotland?
Scott.
No.
Yeah, they're Scottish.
They're Scott. Yeah, it's them, it's the Londoners versus the Scots. I like hard stopped. I was like, am I mislocating
Well, no,
them?
sometimes I've mixed them up because Blue's from Northern Ireland.
Right.
And like those are like the two other places like in the UK if you're not like a London girl.
Right.
Like they or like, you know, you're not from like Essex or like, you know.
Right, one of the stereotypical Drag Race polls.
Yeah.
That they,
then
that
like
they
something
saying.
we're going to talk about is like if you're either from Northern Ireland or Scotland. I
Right,
feel
right.
Those are like the big like, oh, the Irish girl or like the Scottish girl.
Totally. Yeah, but it's so funny because the Londoners did them, and then the Scotland girls were like, we're going to kiss Ru's butt.
Yeah. The Brits.
Them damn Brits. I do think the look is cute. I don't know if I would look at this and say that's Lawrence Chaney. And I think that's a problem with a lot of the last run of her runways. A lot of them do not look like I would say that looks like what Lawrence wore.
I think it feels like what Lawrence would wear at DragCon.
Yes, this is a great DragCon look. I don't know if this is finale.
I do love when people reinterpret RuPaul's racer look. I think that's super
Race.
fun.
Yeah, it's cute, I think. And then we've got Taste as our very last one.
Oh,
She looks so beautiful. Her makeup looks beautiful.
Oh, yeah, makeup's done. I don't really like the look.
No, I don't like the bodysuit.
But it's okay because she's looked so good so many other times that I'm fine saying she doesn't look good tonight.
Totally.
And I mean, she probably didn't have a lot of stuff left. But
No, I imagine that most of them were probably out.
I liked her performance look more than her final look.
Me too.
Not like she could have came out on the runway for her final look in that, but
Right.
yeah, it wasn't doing it for me.
Right. So Bimini, Taste, and Lawrence are called as the definitive top three. Ellie is called safe, which is a little wild. Do you think Taste had any chance of winning this, or do you think she was just there because Ru wanted to see her lip sync one last time? That was not a ballad.
That part, because how would you feel to be Ellie and like you only lip synced once,
Yeah.
and the girl who lip synced 4 times is called over you?
Right. I would
It's
be
like,
upset.
damn, it's really not in it for me.
Yeah.
Well, and okay, and that's one of the things that I do get with Ellie's frustration is like she really didn't do much wrong, but it just never was in the cards for her.
Yeah.
And you see that manifest in different ways with different girls, but when the Drag Race truth of like you're not one of the faves or like it's not gonna happen for you.
Yeah.
But there are people like Denali. She's one of those girls where you could do everything right and you can be great, but it's just not going to happen for you.
Unfortunately.
Like I think that like that happens sometimes. I think that some of Ellie's behavior was manifestations of that. And so I do sympathize for her journey because I think she like really tried her damnedest, but it was never going to happen for her.
Completely.
With how other girls were so adored.
Absolutely. So the final song is I'm Still Standing, Elton John. Great finale song, I thought.
Super fun song. They love to do a guy song at the end because last season they did Wham.
Yeah, I'm kind of into
I'm
that.
Your Man.
Yeah.
Well, I'm Still Standing as the final song is quite clever. Like,
especially it being
standing.
top 3.
Yeah. I think Elton John in general is a good choice for especially UK
Yeah.
because he's such a treasure there.
I have a question for you. What do you think about air guitar?
I don't ever like it.
I don't
in
either.
any circumstance.
It's so cheesy.
And there's someone who did air guitar recently and they got away with it. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't like air guitar in any circumstance.
I don't
I
either.
don't like air instruments in any circumstance unless you're like really memeing. Unless you're like memeing trolling.
Yeah. Stick a foot in your mouth to play the trumpet or don't do anything at all.
Period.
Who was that?
Ginger
Johnson.
Johnson. Queen.
Yeah, queen. I feel like it was interesting that Lawrence sort of park and barked through the whole time. Interesting performances where Tace and Bimini really took advantage of the
Where
whole
Bimini
stage.
was rah-rah Rasputin.
That was so wild that she did that. It was so crazy.
So funny.
So good. What do you think about Lawrence winning?
I mean, it makes sense.
You think?
It makes sense. Yeah.
Even though the trajectory was what it was?
I think it made sense just in how she was viewed by RuPaul, and
Sure.
like even in her shortcomings, I think Lawrence was held to a high regard by RuPaul, and like RuPaul never really made her look too bad.
Sure. And that's the only one you need to impress.
Yeah, and like I was rooting for Bimini as I was watching it, and I always am gonna love Bimini. But I understand from the perspective of RuPaul why Lawrence won. Like she's a star to her, and like she is definitely like a very clear brand.
Yeah.
And I definitely think that like maybe if this was season 5 or 6, Bimini would have won. Because it's kind of like, you know how they talk about in the early seasons too, like Nina and Raven.
Oh, yeah.
Are a little more alternative choices. Whereas like in the early seasons, like it feels like they're kind of setting like a precedent and a standard. And yeah, I kind of feel that still. Like it's still the early seasons, and like Lawrence and the Vivian are very different.
Yeah, completely.
They're very different. And I do appreciate that. It's not like we got someone who's just like the Vivian. And we still haven't gotten anyone who's like Lawrence.
Totally.
So, but we also haven't seen anyone like Bimini either. So, you know, it's hard, but it's one of those things where it's like there are, you know, those queens like those Nina Flowers who they're so cool and so captivating, but there are also girls who are maybe a little more like the product.
Yeah.
And Lawrence is such an amazing like drag race stamp. Yeah. And her final look was indicative of that too.
Totally. So I have to ask you the spicy question. Any hot takes about this entire season? And then I have a really spicy question after that.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I shared most of them. Taste shouldn't have been in the bottom for the stand-up, stuff like that. I would have an opinion that kind of came to me this last episode, last of filming, is when we were talking about changing the lip sync songs. I almost could have seen all 3 of these being changed, because I think that I could have also seen I'm Still Standing for the stand-up episode as like kind of like a funny hee hee ha ha.
Yeah.
But I'm Still Standing for the stand-up episode. And then I honestly feel like that Dusty Springfield ballad could have been a really interesting final lip sync.
Totally.
Because I actually love when it's the right group, when they do a ballad for the last song. And I mean, it was fun to see Taste like move around and Bimini move around, but I think the Dusty Springfield song as a ballad could have been super captivating.
Completely.
But yeah, I mean, I don't have like a ton of like controversial opinions about this season. I have most of the popular opinions of this season. I love this season. It's amazing.
It's so good.
And yeah, there's not a lot I would change because it is so great.
Yeah.
What about you though?
My spicy take, I mean, besides that Bimini should have won, because I think her trajectory was so solid the second half. She showed so much improvement where Lawrence had no steam or energy behind her. She always looked like she was in a state of crying. Like she was just about to just sob.
Yeah.
I would be really interested in an alternate universe where they waited 2 weeks for Veronica to come back.
Okay, so real. Like, why couldn't they?
Right, just halt production for 2 whole weeks, because they already had them in quarantine 2 weeks before they got there. So it wouldn't have been that hard to adjust schedules. Like, it wouldn't have been that big of a deal. I feel like instead of bringing Joe, have Veronica there, she probably would have slid through that challenge just fine.
Yeah.
And see what that alternate universe would look like if they had waited, because I feel like Veronica probably would have gone just past Snatch Game. And then I think her trajectory right after Snatch Game is a little complicated.
Yeah.
I don't really know where she would land and who would get kicked out before that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think maybe they should have waited 2 weeks for her.
No, that's valid because that was really rough.
It was, and it feels bad. It's this dark cloud that looms over her.
And like, can I say it?
Mm.
If like Lawrence had COVID,
They would have waited. Totally. If Lawrence was the one who had COVID, they would have absolutely
if
waited.
Lawrence had COVID, I mean, hell, if Tia Kofi had COVID, they'd probably been like, no, she's like such good TV. Like,
Yeah.
we need to keep her. She's so funny. Like, no way.
Right. Totally. I
But,
agree.
like, there's definitely, you could definitely like split a line in that cast of like who they would have waited for and who they
Yeah.
wouldn't have. Maybe that's my spicy take.
Okay. I'm into that. Okay. So last spicy question before we end.
Oh my God. Not another one?
Another one? You have one queen, just one, to bring back for the next Versus the World.
Oh my gosh.
Or a global, if such a thing were to ever happen again. But you can only choose one from this cast. Who is it going to be?
I think Taste, because I think although obviously Bimini would be a great choice, Bimini is kind of like a door in the sense that I feel like they have aesthetically and artistically shifted
Right.
to a way that I don't think their art would be great for the Drag Race machine.
I would agree with that.
I feel like Bimini feels like a lot more of an alternative artist now, and they're doing their own thing, and I love that for them. But I think they were on Drag Race at the right time for their drag.
Yeah.
And I think that now they're someone who they might not want to fit what they're doing into that Drag Race box anymore. Whereas I think Tace's drag is just so elevated of what she was already doing before. And like she's just evolved in the sense that like she's just more beautiful, more stunning, more polished.
Yeah.
But she still would thrive in that environment, in my opinion. So
I agree.
She'd be my first choice, and then honorable mention to Ahura.
Horror would be so good to see.
Yeah.
Mine, and this might be spicy, I would choose Ellie.
Oh,
Because a lot of the girls are getting budgets now to come on. They're getting a little stipend.
Yeah.
I would love to see what Ellie would do with like 25K.
Ellie's never gonna be asked back. Did you hear what happened with her?
No.
She like randomly tweeted about how RuPaul was saying the T word, like back in the day, like it was like new scathing tea,
Damn.
like
Oh, well.
like talking about like how is it okay that there are songs like Response to Trinity and like stuff like
Yeah.
that, which like tea.
Yeah.
But we also don't. It's not like RuPaul still plays them on the show,
Right. They've taken them off.
Yeah, and like,
Oh, well, then maybe when Rue's no longer with
but
us.
you know that she got burned. In
They
that
said-
in that moment she got burned. It went from why don't you say my name to an accent to why do you say the T word, RuPaul? she glowed up in that sense.
You know
but
what? Good for her, though.
good for her. Yeah, she would come back and eat because she is super talented.
Okay, when Mama Pao is hosting,
Mama Pao, yeah.
when it's Philippines versus the world.
Philippines versus the world in 2029, Ellie will be runner up
Yeah.
to Marina Summers when she comes back
Oh
and finally
my
gets her
God,
crown.
Of course.
when she gets lemoned.
Yes. I think Ellie would do so good in a situation like that. Getting a stipend to get on the show. I mean, already what she did on a burger joint salary.
Burger finger salad.
Burger finger salary. Seeing her come back with RuPaul money, she would eat, I think.
Period.
I feel she would really devour. And she's grown so much in her character. She's learned what TV stuff is like. I think she would really devour. So that is the end for UK2. Our journey is over.
Ow.
Next time, we are delving into the deep down under. This is my
Wow.
first time watching the first season. I've only ever seen clips.
Oh my gosh. I'm going to need you to like text me your thoughts.
Oh, yeah.
About episodes.
Because a little backstage tea, we have a week before or 2 weeks before we'll be recording again.
Yeah.
So I'll probably be watching while you're away.
Yeah.
And I'll be live tweeting you.
Yeah, you can live tweet to me. I think I've said it a million times, but I really just care about etc. And I really like Ketamine as well.
I love Art
etc.
Simone.
And the New Zealand girls, Keita and Anita. Keita and Anita are
Anita
are the
Wiglet?
Anita Wiglet, yeah.
She was so cute in Canada one.
Yeah. The New Zealand girls. Oh, well, also Electra Shock is her name. She's also a New Zealand girl. They have 3 New Zealanders.
Oh, fun.
I care about Etc. and the New Zealanders.
I'm both nervous and excited because I keep hearing that it's a situation.
It's a train wreck, but I think it's mandatory viewing.
Yeah, I mean, we're going through all the seasons. We got to.
Down Under is a different kind of curse, too. It feels like it's punishment for RuPaul for the thing she's done.
Maybe. Do you think it's like a layer of Drag Race hell?
Yes.
Like if Bimini's balloon popping and Farrah fumbling with her cards going, ah.
Yeah.
Is this one of the layers?
Yeah, I think it's one of the ones where it's less visceral, but more evil.
So like maybe level 2?
Yeah, well, it's so hard because, it's like, it's less like painful, but it's more insidious and like nefarious in nature.
So maybe it's a level of hell, of an evil hell, not the cringe hell.
Yeah, maybe it's like a detour of hell. Where it's like you could go there and then suddenly like take the back door and go all the way to the bottom layer if you take their
like in Candyland.
Yeah, exactly.
You roll the wrong
you're
one.
in the what's it called? The tar the yeah.
Yeah. You're in the Bimini balloon popping. You roll it 2, and then you can slip and slide through the dark evil horrors.
I'm looking at the Candyland map for reference. Oh, they updated it.
I
was thinking about Gloppy, the non-binary legend.
You know who's really cunt? Lord Licorice.
Lord Licorice is very much yesified. Oh yeah, Licorice Lagoon. Get into it.
Yes. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Thank you for tuning in. We will chat with you next week with Down Under 1.
Crazy.
Remember, you're doing a fantastic job. You are doing the best you can, and that is all you can do. Goodbye.
Bye.